Music, bringing together artists and NFT enthusiasts through music. We have Malik Stout, Chris Cohen, Simon Scott. Come on. Give him a round of applause.
What's going on?
Oh.
You on? 1, 2, 1.
Hello.
Yeah, good. 1, 2.
We got a couple empty chairs if anyone wants to. Yeah, hello everyone. NFT.London.
Malik,
Really,
Yeah,
really
1,
glad
2.
to be here.
1, 2.
Have you guys got another spare mic?
1, 2, 1,
Is it
2.
working?
Yeah, I'm good.
It's all good? Okay, cool.
Good, we good. Hey,
Let's
what's
go.
up, everybody? Welcome to the panel for bringing together artists and enthusiasts through music. Yeah, we're here to speak about NFTs and the effect it's having on the music industry and the entertainment industry in a whole, and specifically hip-hop as well. What's going on, my brother? It's Chris. How you feeling, baby?
Nice to meet you, Malik.
All right, Simon.
Nice to meet you, Malik.
Yeah, same here. So, yeah, what's going on? What you guys thinking?
I always think it's always used to give just a little bit of background as to, I mean, there are many of us here. They've said
Right.
no Q&A, but, you know, anyone wants to get involved from our perspective, get involved, I think, really, because there aren't, you know, you're here because you're interested. I think it's probably good if we just start off explaining what brings us here and why we're here, because as an observer, I would go, perspective of where you are kind of dictates what you think should happen, really. So I'm
Exactly.
happy to start.
Yeah,
there.
please,
okay.
Simon. Yeah.
I've been in the internet music space since 1995, which is quite a long time. That's 27 years. And my role during that time has been working with the entertainment industry, predominantly the music industry. And that goes from, like, you know, one of the first projects I did was with Daft Punk, and one of the last projects we did was with Taylor Swift. So that's over that 27 years. That's a lot of artists. And my role is to work with our clients and help them navigate the technology changes. So, you know, when I'm talking about technology changes, I'm talking about mobile. That was a big technology change when mobile came in. You know, what people can do with mobile, what impact the platforms had. Yeah, i.e. Facebook when that first came in, what impact streaming had. All of these things had real impacts into the business model of this industry. So for the past 18 months, what I've been doing is working with our clients going, there's this NFT thing.
Right.
What does it really mean?
Exactly.
Yeah? What's it going to do to us? Yeah, and yeah, so that's kind of like my perspective.
What's been the feedback from your people?
I mean, it's been very difficult. I would say that there's not many lawyers in this room. Yeah, yeah. We're at a conference about contracts.
Right,
yeah, so
right,
I find
right.
that's and I think that it's been a lot of pain in the last 18 months trying to navigate between the wheat and the chaff, with a lot of people thinking this thing is about chasing money and not thinking that. If you come to it with my perspective, yeah, you realise this is the world's first transportable proof of ownership of digital content.
Right.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? That's what this is really. And when you think about it at that fundamental level, you stop thinking about bits of art, you stop thinking about trading, you stop thinking about flipping, you stop thinking about all of those words, and you realise, hang on a minute, if I've got an industry that, so let's give an example. If you've seen me before, I've used this example before, but when Snoop Dogg released Doggy Style,
Yes.
all right,
yes,
like
yes.
Snoop Dogg sold 11 million copies of that album.
Right.
All right, $8 dealer price.
Yep.
Yeah, roughly.
About that.
Roughly, right. So what? That's $88 million. Okay.
Correct.
All right. Roll forward 20 years. Snoop Dogg does his drop on Gala and he's making $44 million.
Hello.
Yeah? Big difference. That $88 million went to the record company. That $44 million went to Snoop.
Right.
Yeah, and if you think about that just away from the technology and you think about that into the impact on people's business, that is just massive. That's not a little change. That's just like so fundamental. Yeah, and I think that's the scariest thing with all of this from the industry to try to get their heads around, really.
Yeah, what do you think about the disconnect? What you think about the disconnect, Chris? Between just, NFT, Web3, and the music industry?
I would agree. I think that fundamentally the change that's coming is probably the biggest threat to the industry, and maybe ever since maybe since the piano sheet music change. And we're going to see a huge change in legislation over the next few years, really concerning this. Like every time a format changes, and just to give you guys a bit of background, I just finished a master's thesis that's getting published on deliverable music technologies and formats. So in the research that we've done, it really goes into every single time something changes, the deliverable stays the same. So realistically, what a user, an end user is getting is they are receiving audio or visual data, right? But the way in which we legislate to change it is going to be our hardest thing that we're coming up against, because although there's been so many good things to happen in the industry, there's also been the bad side as well, right? So you see great projects. Groove Up is one that I can think of, where they're really supporting artists in Africa, really supporting artists in Europe as well. I'm not sure if they're in America yet, but they're really, really doing quite well in that side of the world where legislation isn't that good for artists. But at the same time, we see the bad side of these things as well, which is like when you see Jake Paul, who has a huge community, and he makes a stick figure and it sells for £10 million for a stick figure. But at the same time, yeah, we got to legislate to really get around these things in the next deliverable stage of the music industry.
Right. I like that. Yeah, man. So what do y'all see as the future of music and NFTs?
It's all about augmented reality, guys. Let's just, augmented reality, the prime mode of sharing, instantaneous sharing between people at a fundamental level. Like you're at dinner, and VR, we can close ourselves off and we can make ourselves in our little bubbles at home, but instantaneous sharing. And that's another point of legislation that we're going to have to get around, because when I sit here with you, and you're wearing your glasses right now, but if I was wearing my glasses and we both had AR chips in our glasses, and I say, hey, you can have this piece of music by Snoop Dogg as well, and we can both watch it together. Now, does he get paid for that? Is it instantly understood? And the blockchain will help that, because if it is on the blockchain, it will be seen on the blockchain. But if it's not, then the sharing in that kind of realm, it leaves the artist unpaid.
Gray area.
Yeah. I hadn't thought of that, actually. That's very interesting. But I did see, watched a Newsnight interview that David Bowie did in 1999, where he said I can't remember the quote, but you should go and Google David Bowie Newsnight 1999 talking about music formats. Gets into that point, basically. For me, I think that I don't know the answer to that, because I think the creative people are going to decide what that is. Because if you go and look at everything that has happened, so I'll say to people, why did Pink Floyd do a 21-minute song called Echoes on the B-side of Meddle, their album Meddle? They did it because a vinyl would let them do a 21-minute song. Until there was a format that meant that they could release a 21-minute record, why would they do a 21-minute track? There's no need to do it. From your world, the hip-hop world, why do the hip-hop world do 30-track albums on Spotify that are 30 seconds long? Because you get paid if someone per track.
Hello.
If someone does a 30-second track. Yeah, so that's why we're all getting that. So when the real creative people get together with the ability to control access to their content, to themselves, to their community, to their events, to their thoughts, to their instant sharing, when someone gets into that and creates something creative, we have no idea what that's going to be like. Yeah,
and it's about IP too, man, because it's about owning your own intellectual property. It's about owning your masters too. That's a lot of the disconnect that's being covered, with this.
Well, I'm going to actually, maybe we should ask you, Malik. So Malik should explain his background, because and talk about the hip hop community and what you've seen change over your time in the record industry.
In the record, my background is I work with Sony, work with Epic Records, Columbia, Universal, originally from New York, live in LA now, but I've been in the music industry for the last 15 plus years, so I basically have done everything behind the scenes, marketing, management, A&R, and the biggest thing I see from back then to now is just that leverage, leverage that artists and creatives never had before, you know. And like I said, it starts with IP, you know, like, and I've seen artists signed to the label. I've seen artists that never got a deal, but always invested in themselves. And both sides of that spectrum, they were both on the bad end of the stick. You know, whether they were the top artists in the clubs, all over the radios, and everybody in here and everywhere loving them, or whether that y'all never even heard of them. It kind of like was balanced out because those artists that y'all love, they were still always fighting to get out they fucking contracts, get out their deals, you know, and eventually own something, own their own content.
And do you think that will be driven by I mean, yeah, it's very difficult to get into that without going Kanye West, and I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go Kanye West because I think that's just like a dangerous.
Nah, don't do that. Don't do that.
But I think what you're saying is what he was saying, fundamentally.
Oh yeah, fundamentally.
Fundamentally, show me the contracts. And is that a different thing that's in the hip hop marketplace than it is in, if you like, the country marketplace?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then
You don't see 360 deals in the country.
Yeah. Okay. So that would mean then that the hip-hop marketplace is going to be the marketplace where the artists are going to get a grip of the fact that they're going to have a wallet and they're going to want all of their transactions to be on the blockchain and they're going to be paid into that wallet.
Yeah, they don't have to go through the booking agent and all these different agents. Really, just direct to consumer, direct access.
Okay. And what examples of that have you got of where people are doing things like that at the moment?
Well, you know, there's an artist called Russell. I don't know if you're familiar with him out here. Yeah, he just recently dropped. Y'all could check him out. He just recently dropped on a new platform, which basically he didn't drop it as an NFT, but him dropping it on his platform is like he dropped it the NFT way, which is that he didn't need the label, he didn't need you understand what I'm saying, the machine, and he was able to sell like I forget what it was, what the numbers was, but he was able to sell a good amount of records within the first week, you know. So it was like it was a win, and it was a model for a new day and age, which we're in right now.
Do you guys think it's like first to platform though? Like, so you see things like Spotify where it's the long tail and all of the big artists are making money, and YouTube is the same, you know. Do you think that this is going to be a repeat performance? Like, so,
Yeah.
you know, and I think in hip hop as well, especially.
It's like a step up, because look what Spotify did to the music industry.
But what I'm saying is, like, you know, especially in hip hop, people have a fundamental understanding of technology. This comes from people using samplers, or from, like, there just seems to be an ingrained culture in the understanding of technological use, even if that's not understood subconsciously there. Right. But do you think that the market right now, if you get to it quick, is the same, and like that's why people are enthusiastic, because it's like a new platform, whereas like they might look at YouTube or something and say, I can't really get on this platform, there's so much going on.
Exactly.
Same with Spotify, like I can't really.
And plus they're not gonna own
they're
not gonna own their IP. They're not gonna own their content on YouTube and Spotify. No hate, but I mean they're not.
They're just not,
Yeah, so like the NFT way is the way that is giving the access and you're giving the leverage back to the people.
I suspect the platforms are dead. Would be my general view. I think they're definitely being fractionalized to the point where, you know, I don't know if there's anyone from Spotify in the audience. I don't think they made a lot of money over their 15 years. I think they're going to be losing subscribers. I think it's very difficult to sustain that over a long period of time. I've seen a lot of those platforms sort of come and go in my time, and Facebook's revenues going and the impact. There's a talk going on upstairs about Apple blocking NFTs in the App Store. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, that's 30%. That's not right. 30%.
All that really is going to do is that's just going to drive independently minded people.
Oh yeah, of course.
To use the open source technologies that are there and let them do their own thing. And I think that all you really need is, and the world's in a very bad state, and the youth have been anesthetized by scrolling, but I think it's going to get so bad that, because generationally the youth get angry and the youth make change. So if anyone thinks that doesn't happen, of course it's going to happen, because that would imply that over the past 2,000 years we've all of a sudden become different people, that we're not going to get pissed off and change things. So, you know, that's going to happen. But they don't quite have their spokesperson yet, or their spokespeople that are saying anything, and I suspect we'll see that over the next 18 months or so. And I think when that happens, that spokesperson will be using these blockchain technologies. Why? Because they're free, because they're transparent, because they're anonymous, because they're accountable, because they've got all of that stuff going on.
Right.
And then it'll be, boom, oh, hang on a minute. Remember, the smartphone's only what? How old's the iPhone?
It's 14 years.
14 years. I mean,
on
you
that
know.
now.
All right, 14 years. That's just like
Nothing.
And think how much it's changed everything.
Yeah, but we're
Exactly.
kind of at the end of the cycle with it now, I think. Like, you know, you look at the recession in 2008, and now we're going into this next cycle. And the next cycle really is that next format, like I was saying at the start, is the AR, the VR format. And like you say with the youth as well, like, I think that when we get into this next cycle, this is really when, again, going back to legislation as well, when the next change is going to happen. And the blockchain being on that, that's when we're going to see the real upticks, especially with, you know, enthusiasts through music and bringing people together. We're going to really see, because it's dead technology now. We've outgrown the iPhone. We're at this point now where the next fundamental shift is going to be that AR revolution.
Yeah, you see like how people's reactions when they came out with like the Pac hologram, like, you know what I mean? So that was just like a little teaser. You feel me?
I
Yeah,
think
man.
there was an interesting. I think it's the guy in the hat there. Were you the guy who was on the earlier panel? Yes, yeah, you, yeah. I thought what you were saying was very interesting about how you're experimenting and kind of finding your way through it, and you seem to be. And the point that you made about new technology every day, I think at some point all of these bits are going to click. I know it's going to happen because it always does.
It's falling into place.
It always does. It just, you know, the human brain is amazing. It will invent things so it clicks. And at that point, when you can make enough money to be sustainable, and you might be at that point now, when it's under your control, as soon as you've got all of those people who are talented enough to care doing that, then the next, you know, the next maybe there will be a next superstar, because the message is always where that comes from, really, whatever it is, really. But the next superstar will rise out of that generation of artists. I think it's really exciting. You know,
we're looking forward to like what comes next, because like we in it right now. The pot is stewing and brewing, and like, you know, next year, like we're gonna see some new art that we probably never even seen before.
Language is a problem. I think Jess earlier on said they try not to use the word NFT. I think it's really difficult using that word.
I think DTAs are better, like digital tangible assets, like to make people understand what it is, instead of, because like if we want to really hit the mainstream, and I've been talking to a lot of people about this in some of the other work I do, you know, like the MMO we made and stuff like this, like NFTs for a normal person in the mainstream, when you say the word fungible, you kind of go, is that a fungus or is that something?
I think NFT has become like Saturday accumulator betting on the football. I don't think it's much different to that, really. It's like, you know, I'm going to have my ACCA on a Saturday and see if I can buy some stuff and flip it. It's sort of like, it lives in that sort of world to me, really.
But that's the understanding of like ownership, right? Like that's the ownership principle, and saying to someone they digitally own something, that's where I think it's going to meld and change. And again, I know I keep harking on about the AR, but we're going to really see that. And in VR especially, I mean, you see it now, that ownership, like it's really easy in Web 2 to steal something. Like I can rip your music, I can take your picture, I can
download
steal your
it,
video.
whatever you want to do.
But realistically in Web 3 and in VR, I think these things there may be some better safety nets that can be made, especially for enthusiasts as well, where it's like, you know, you're wearing a VR headset and you can't steal that piece of, you know, that picture I've made, because like the system automatically knows, it blocks you. You've tried to take a picture of my picture. I'm stopping you. You're trying to record.
Within the
You're
stream,
protected. Yeah, you're protected.
I agree with that totally.
Yeah, I agree.
And again, with legislation, that will make people more protected as well in that world. But yeah.
But look, so let me ask you guys something. So now people, it went from before artists wasn't even getting their fucking royalties before, right? To now, you could buy NFT and you could own some of the artist's royalties, right? Which I think is the next level after that, man.
I think that's the one bit that I do think for me, there's three things. There's sort of like, there's new formats, which is what we're talking about. There's identity, you know, just straight identity tokens. And I think there is fractional ownership, and that will probably change the artist discovery and investing in an artist early. Because, you know, I've got friends who manage small artists and they're going, what you're doing, I'm trying to book this is someone who won prog rock album of the year with some sort of like prog rock magazine. So it's a notable artist, and a friend of mine's managing her and booking her tour, like a 15, 16 date tour, and she's got to fund it herself. How much is that going to cost her? thinking the answer was going to be like, 15 grand, 20 grand or something like that. And the answer is, oh, she's got to find 2.5 grand.
Well,
And then you go, well, that's not much money. And if you can get something that enables that, some fractionalized ownership maybe of like touring for small artists.
Right,
I think that will,
Oh,
I
yeah.
can see that being.
Well, I mean, shit, artists gonna be touring in the metaverse, you know? Like a few months ago, I was
think they'll
interviewing
tour-
somebody on my podcast.
I don't get that yet. I
No,
don't get that.
I was interviewing somebody on my podcast, and an artist, right? And during that interview, the artist had performed like 50 times in the metaverse. So it's like, it's just opening up new worlds right now.
I think it does work. I think you're
Understand what I'm
right.
saying? The artists don't even have to leave this room to tour.
But on top of that, the
In the
human
metaverse.
I
sharing
think that
aspect.
augments it. Maybe if we're talking in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, I agree with you. But I think that experience right at this moment in
Yeah.
time, I'll go to a metaverse gig for 10 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm not going to go and watch Bruce Springsteen pay for 2.5 hours.
Oh, nah. We talking
I
hip hop.
don't
We talking
think-
hip
I
hop.
don't think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's going on right now though. It's happening right now.
For that long? I know they're doing 10-minute gigs, so people doing.
No, repeatedly. Hell no, brother.
No, I understand.
Repeatedly. You could do a 10-minute show, a 20-minute show repeatedly, over and over and over and over and over again, repeatedly in one day.
Okay.
Right, yeah. So that's what's going on right now. Like, it's platforms right now doing that right now. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a fact, yeah. So it's just opening up doors. Like, like artists don't even have to leave their house to tour now. You tour in the metaverse. So it's just countless opportunities right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just think, again, I guess we should probably close it out as well in because we've only got a couple minutes. But I just think, again, like the prospect of people sitting alone at home, I think it works well for some reasons in VR and the metaverse for people to see their
Exactly,
artists.
yeah.
But for me, I think I'm more on the side of, again, AR and going to see your favorite artists and instantly being transferred like an NFT when you see them through your pop-up, like your HUD. I think that the future is really coming together and not sowing the seeds of division. I think that we need to come more together, and I think that we're entering into dangerous territory when we are divided. Because if we all sit at home in our anti-COVID bubbles for the rest of the time, like where we don't go outside and we live in this VR reality, I think it's a dark place. We're looking at Matrix style level like shenanigans there. So coming together through AR, I'm the AR champ out here.
I'm
Let's
here
go
for
with
it.
that.
I'm here for it, man. I'm here for it, man.
So yeah, you guys got anything you want to close on? We got a minute and a half, so anything you guys want to say? What you guys doing next?
Yeah, well, fans are fans, and I think just for me, the technology enables people who are creative to connect with people who are fans of people who are creative. I suspect in 5 years' time, we won't be thinking of an artist going, they're an artist, they're a musician, they're a writer. I think that will blend. I think that will
All be
blend into
blended.
a thing. They're just, the word creator is horrible, but they kind of are creators,
Yeah,
really, all
yeah,
those people.
yeah.
So for me, I think that if the technology can understand that it's an enabler rather than being a thing, then I think that, to your point, everyone coming together, I think that's going to be really, really good.
Yeah. And what you doing
Beautiful.
afterwards, Malik, as well? You got any things coming up?
Yeah, man, you can check me out on my podcast on the blockchain. We dedicated to the creatives and to all of the brands and the NFT and the technology, as well as the utilities of this space, and just who is impacting and the help that we're providing for people, the access we're providing for the people. I'm just looking forward to, like I said, that new art, because I know it's a new art form coming out of everything we're going through right now. You know what I'm saying? It's about, we birthed it right now, as we speak, all of us, everybody in this building, in every room, we birthing a new form of art right now, which we don't even know what it is. We don't even know what we're going to call it, but it's coming, and I'm just looking forward to it.
And yeah, for myself as well, I've just created the first 50-50 revenue split sharing system on software-based sample platform music distributions. So you guys can check me out at cupofcoffeesamples.com, which will give you your software for the price of a cup of coffee always. Thanks to these guys. Not that we haven't got any questions today because we've got no time. But
y'all
come
can
and
check
speak
us
to
out on, come ask us questions in the audience.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys.
All right.
Thanks, Malik.
Yeah.
Thanks, Simon.
Awesome discussion, guys. That was great.